It's working. Okay, yes, okay. So factoring by grouping. This is part 2. The other one was on Friday. And so I'm just going to review what I did on Friday, just briefly, so that we're on the same track. So factoring by grouping is something you use when you have 4 terms. You could have 6 terms. You could have 10 terms. You know, an even number of terms. You can group them in groups of 2, and you can factor them, right? And then sometimes, not always, sometimes you'll get a blob that's the same. When you factor it out, you get the same thing on both sides, and I call them blobs. And then those blobs can be factored out, and then you get your final answer, right? So I'm going to say, okay, there's 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do the first 2 together and the second 2 together. So I'm going to pretend that second 2 doesn't exist. I'm just going to factor this. What's my greatest common factor?
2.
2, and what else?
3.
It's got to be x cubed or x squared.
It's
Got to be the smaller one, right? Think about it. This has 2 x's in it. X squared times x, right? This is x times x times x. This is x times x. I can't take 3 x's out of this. There's not 3 x's to take out of it. So I have to choose but I can take 2 out of this, and I can take 2 out of this, right? So you always choose the one with the smaller exponent. So x squared, and then parenthesis, 2 divided by 2 is 1, x to the 3 divided by x to the 2. I have 3 x's. I'm taking away 2 of them. I just have 1 x left over. Plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. And the x squared divided by x squared just is 1, so I don't need to write that. This plus sign is really important. I have to put this plus sign in here.
Well, I'm confused. How did you do the bottom one again?
This one?
Yeah, or the whole thing.
The whole thing? Okay, so do you understand the 2x squared, that's the greatest common factor?
Yeah. So you write the greatest common factor.
So you write the greatest common factor, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this out of each of these terms. I'm going to divide it out.
Okay.
So 2 divided by 2 is 1. I could write the 1 if I want, but I don't really, as long as there's going to be something else there, I'd rather not write the 1. It just makes it more complicated.
Okay.
And then I have x cubed divided by x cubed divided by x squared, right?
So that's just minus.
And that's x to the 3 minus 2, which is x, right? So that's my x.
Okay.
And then plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. X squared divided by x squared is just 1, right? It's the same
Seems like
thing.
it's going back and forth a lot.
Yeah, you're doing this divided by this, and then this divided by this, right?
Okay.
You have to do that. But I like to do just the number first, and then the variable. I don't try to do 2x cubed divided by 2x squared. I go 2 divided by 2, x cubed divided by x squared. Way easier, way easier. And then plus, 8 divided by 2 is 4. The x squareds cross out. I have 2 of them up here. I'm taking 2 of them away,
Okay.
right? And then the plus. What's my greatest common factor here? 3. So what do I have?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. Do I have blobs now?
Yes.
And they're matching, right?
Yeah.
They're the same blobs. So that's awesome. So I'm going to factor out. This whole term has a blob of x plus 4. This whole term has a blob of x plus 4. So I'm going to factor out the x plus 4, right? Parenthesis, what do I have left over? This, when I factor this out of this, 2x squared plus 3.
Finished.
Beautiful, right?
Finished first.
Makes sense. Now,
Okay, I think I understand.
okay, good. So where it gets a little confusing is this. You've got the 2 groups. The sign between the 2 groups of all the ones I've given you so far has been positive. Okay? Positive in the middle between the 2 groups are really easy, like we just did. When there's a negative, there's an extra, there's something you have to be aware of. You have to be really careful. And so I'm going to do a bunch of those, okay, just so that we can practice and you'll see what. Can I erase this? Yep. So you'll see how that negative works. So number 2. This one will have a negative in it. Hopefully this works. 3x cubed plus 24x minus x squared minus 8. I hope that works. All right, so notice I've got 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I'm going to try factoring by grouping. That's the first thing I always try when there's 4 terms. Now I'm also noticing this. There is a negative sign between the 2 groups, right?
Sure.
Now, first of all, I'm going to deal with that negative sign when I'm dealing with this one. For now, this is really easy. I can just do this. What's my greatest common factor? 3. 3 and what?
X.
3x, right. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1. X cubed divided by x. I've got 3 x's. I'm taking away one of them.
It's 1. It's
I
just
have
X.
x squared.
Square.
Why? So, do you get that, Oliver?
Yeah, I get it.
You're messing up on those. So just let's figure it out. There's x. This is x times x times x. This is just x. So x times x times x. You take away one of those, you have x times x. That's x squared, right?
Hold on, come again.
So this says x cubed. That's x times x times x. 3 x's
Right.
multiplied times each other. I can't do it with this thing again, right? 3 of them multiplied times each other. I'm dividing by x, by one of the x's, so that gets rid of one of them. I have this, x
Oh, yeah.
times x times x, and I'm dividing by one of the x's. What's x over x? It's 1. So I have 2 x's left over,
Alright, I get it.
right? So that's x squared. And then plus 24 divided by 3, 8, and x divided by x, that just washes out. It becomes a 1. 1 times 8 is 8. I don't have to write anything. Okay, so that was easy. Now comes this part. Now notice, right now, this negative sign does not affect this sign. You agree with me? There's this is minus x squared minus 8. This does not affect this. But as soon as I go like this, I put a minus sign here, and oh wait, look at this, x squared minus 8, x squared plus 8. That's interesting. The signs are wrong, but it's almost the same thing, right? But look, as soon as I do this, I put a 1 and I put a parenthesis.
Oh, yeah.
That negative sign affects what's inside the parenthesis. Does that make sense? So look at this. So negative 1 times what is negative x squared? Well, negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. You follow me? Right? Now I'm doing negative 1 times what is negative 8?
8.
Negative 1 times positive 8 is negative 8. So when you have a negative sign between the groups, what happens is this sign will always be the opposite sign once you put it in parentheses. Because you're multiplying. This one, you're not multiplying this times this. This one, you are. Does that make sense? You see the difference? Because parenthesis means multiply. So suddenly, your negatives became positive here. So now I have groups. I have my blobs that match. So I can factor out my blobs. And then when I factor that out of this, I'll get 3x. Factor that out of this, I get minus 1. Does it make sense?
To come up with these problems, Gary?
Not really. What I do is I start with these, right? I start with something like this. I'll just write something like this, and then I'll multiply it out using FOIL, which we'll be doing soonish. And then I get that. I mean, it takes a little time, but it's not that bad. Okay, so can I erase?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's our first one of that style. So let's just try a few, and then I'm gonna.
And you do the same thing if the minuses are in the front of the problem, right?
Yes. Yeah. I probably won't give you those right now, but yeah, I probably would. Yeah, you'd have that same issue. As soon as you put a minus sign and then a parenthesis, it affects everything in that parenthesis. So the signs change, right? Okay. So let's try another one. Let's try What one did I just give you? Okay, so let's try this one. Let's try x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 10.
Well, I don't use.
Hold on.
Oh wait, yes I do.
So now I notice here's my group of 2's and my group of 2's. Here's a negative sign grouping those 2's together, right? I mean, between those two groups. So what's my greatest common factor here?
X squared.
X squared, right? There's nothing with the numbers, so I have to go straight to the variables. And I choose the one that's smaller. Okay. Now, Oliver.
Yeah.
This is x times x times x divided by x times x.
X squared. Alright, wait. Yeah, X.
So
Why didn't you write the
this is
5?
x times x times x
Just doing it.
divided by x times x.
Oh, then it's just X.
It's just x.
Oh.
Or
Plus 1.
x to the, look at this. This is how I look at this for a second. This says I have 3 x's being multiplied times each other. I'm taking away 2 of them. Oliver, I'm taking away 2 of those 3, so there's only 1 left over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 3 minus 2 is 1, x to the 1. Okay, plus, and then the only thing that comes out is the x squared, so I still have my 5 left over. Now I've got this doggone minus sign. What can I take out of the 2 and the 10?
2.
2. Okay, but as soon as I put this parenthesis, it's not just minus 2, it's negative 2 times. Okay, negative 2 times what is negative 2x?
One.
X.
X, right?
5.
And then just double check. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2x. Yes, okay. Negative 2 times what is negative 10?
5.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, exactly. Notice that sign now is opposite. And now we have our blobs that match. That's great. So I'll just factor out my blob times x squared minus 2. And we're done. Amazingly simple once you get used to it. And it will be, we'll do one more. Let's just do one more. That'll really help you if you nail this. Okay. Anyone, let's see, let's try this one. 5 n cubed minus 4n squared minus 25n plus 20. Okay.
Minus 25. Wait,
Did I just write that wrong? What did I just do? Where am I? Oh yeah, I did this one. Oh, sorry. Wait a minute, where am I? Oh yeah. Minus 25, thank you. God. Minus 25n plus 20. Yes, okay. So now I've got my groups, my 4 terms. I'm going to factor by grouping. I noticed that the sign that separates the 2 groups is negative, so I'm going to have to be careful. What's my greatest common factor here?
N squared. Wait.
N squared. Because 5 and 4, I can't do anything, right? There's nothing that goes into both of those. So I'm going to take out an n squared, parenthesis. Okay, Oliver, help me. There's 5n cubes. I'm dividing 5 divided by this hidden 1, so that's just 5. I have 3 n's. I'm taking 2 of them away.
I'm still a bit confused on why you got the 5 instead of 3.
Okay. Because right now I can't take out a 5 or a 4. There's no number that's a factor of 5 and 4 other than 1. But if I chose 1, it wouldn't change anything. Actually, 1 is what I'm choosing.
So you can choose either 4 or 5.
No, you have to choose a number that goes into both evenly.
But I'm asking about the 5 inside the parentheses.
Right. So
Why
so
did
the
you choose
only
instead of
number that
4?
goes into both 5 and 4 is 1, so I'm actually putting a 1 here. But I don't always have to write the 1. I just know that in front of any variable there is a hidden 1 if there's no number there. But I'll write it anyway. And notice I'm dividing this into this. I'm dividing this out of this, basically. Dividing this out of this.
And then so it's going to be minus
So-
4.
So 5 divided by 1 is 5.
So why are you not, oh, so you got to do the front one.
Yeah. 5 divided by 1 is 5. And then 3 n's take away 2 of them, I have 1 of them, right? Minus 4 divided by 1 is 4. And then the n squared divided by n squared just is 1, so I don't have to write that. You see why I don't have to write that?
Yeah.
I need more practice on this.
Yes,
It's
you do.
confusing.
Yeah. Well, you need to watch that other video.
Okay.
And do that homework. That'll make, that's the difference. You haven't done that yet. All right, now it says minus, so I got to put a minus here. Very important. What can I take out of 25 and 20?
5.
Yes. 5 goes into both of them. So I'm taking out a 5. Right now, that negative sign does not affect that positive sign. But as soon as I do this, it now affects that. So whatever I put in here has to be the opposite of this sign. Okay? But first of all, negative 5 times what is negative 25?
5n.
5n, right. Exactly.
Yes.
Negative 5 times 5n is negative 25n. Perfect.
Minus
Okay.
4.
Negative 5 times negative 4 would equal 20. Right?
Oh.
You see? Now look, I have my blobs and they're the same, so I can factor out my blobs. 5n minus 4, and then parenthesis n squared minus 5, and I'm done. Just a 5? Are you getting it? Starting to make sense? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop this.